As most of you know, my name is Sandra Sheffman, and I run the library, and I'm in charge of all of you wonderful volunteers. Without you, we probably wouldn't have a library. We'd have a bunch of books that would be sitting in piles on the floor somewhere. We've made a lot of changes to the library, and because of the changes we've made, we've decided that we need a second training session for the people that, first of all, weren't here for the first training session, and secondly, to reiterate a lot of the changes that we have put in place. So Terry's going to do the training because she's very detail oriented and she's very good at training.
And my name's Terry Holland, for those of you I haven't met yet, but I appreciate you being here and going through this training. We have a lot to offer the Rincon residents, and you know, it's taken 21 of us this year to keep it going, and that's about what it takes during season. Everything in this library is donated. It all comes in from the residents. When they we can tell when everybody's coming into the park because we get an influx of books. You know, the way we have things outlined is that for new books and returns go into the clear bin. And Sandra and I process the clear bin. Anything that's in there, Sandra's here I guess Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, and I'm here Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So one of us is here every single day, and we process that bin. When somebody tries to help us, it kind of throws things out of whack. So if you would kind of refrain from pulling out of that bin. I know that when folks come in and that's the first place they love to dig, that's fine. But for processing and shelving, let's follow the process, okay? When we process, things will go, for the shelving, will go into the reshelving boxes, and that's where you shelve from. Anything that is older than 10 years old that we don't keep, and we'll go through, you know, what we keep and how long we keep it, we'll put in the appropriate bins. But Sandra and I will do that, okay? Let's talk about shelving and kind of why we're doing this training. I went through this morning and just quickly went through the fiction section. These are the books, this stack, these are the books that were misshelved. I didn't go through the whole section, but you can see, you know, this is a problem, you know, so we need to look at tags, and we need to think about things before we just stick it on the shelf, okay? This one is clearly a fiction, but it was a duplicate sitting right next to the other book. Duplicates go on the boxes under the windows. We'll talk more about duplicates in a minute. We've got several here that are nonfiction that are in the fiction area. So our labels, there are, and this is a problem, in the fiction area, we get labels from all different libraries. And sometimes it's difficult to tell what is our label and somebody else's. So you have to kind of train yourself to be aware of that. One thing, our labels are bigger than most of the other white labels. So that's a key to look at. But if you see one with a white label, you know, kind of pull it out and take a look at it. Does it say novel on the front? You know, a novel's fiction. You know, check it out. If it's a real story, then it goes into nonfiction. But let's be careful with that. This one is I think we've got two that were classics that were in the fiction area. We've got a large print, LP, that was in the fiction. So we just need to be careful, and this is another nonfiction. But that's why, we're doing the training. So when we go through the shelving, and as you all know that went through the clean out, the culling, most of us were concentrated on this fiction area, and we look at keeping everything that is 10 years and newer by, I guess, all authors. Older than 10 years, if it's a single author, like they've just written one book, or we've only got one book on the shelf, we take those and we donate them to Friends of the Library, or they go to Bookman's. If it's in really good condition, it can go to Bookman's. We can, if they accept it, they will buy them, and then we can purchase other books for the library. So let's keep that in mind with the fiction. The Western, and this is a little difficult sometimes for me to, and I'll show you why. This is a little difficult sometimes for me, or it's not so much anymore, but it used to be. But our local authors and our Western are sometimes the same type of tag, or very, very close. We are now putting an orange tag on the local authors so that it differentiates it from the Western. But, sometimes you have to use your best judgment. Is it a Western or is it a local author? And sometimes you need to go and say, I'm not really sure what it is. Find another book by this author, okay? Just do a little searching. Large print is a blue tag with LP on it. And we have a pretty good section of our large print. Classic is an orange tag like the local authors, but it has a C on it. Now, some of our C's are getting rubbed off, and it's a little harder to see them. If you see that, if you can, write a C back on it. And when we did our clean out, we went through, and all of them that we couldn't see very well, we did it in permanent marker. So they should be in pretty good shape now. Biography, it's a purple label, and it has who the book is about. And not necessarily the author's last name, but who it's about. So make sure it has that extra little tag on it, plus the purple label, okay? We talked about fiction. In this library, fiction we don't put anything here. But we do put the date that this book was published at the top. So make sure all books in this library have a date at the top. If they do not, I think we've done a really good job of cleaning it up and making sure that everything has got a date at the top. But if you find one that does not, put it in the green box that says books to be processed. And Sandra and I go through that, and we'll take care of it when we come in. We also have a section that not a lot of people know about, but Linda Penny went through this a few months ago and really cleaned up for us. And it's local interest. This has a yellow tag on it. And she put bins and divided it up into plants, history, all these different animals and different things, why it's of interest, to those that live here. So when somebody comes in and they say, what's the birding like around here? That's the area you go to and help them.
I have a question about the nonfiction then, and it usually has like who it's about, like Obama or Ford or whatever. That's how it's filed by, correct?
Nonfiction is by the author's last name.
Autobiographies.
The biography is who it's about.
Yeah, by who, not the author.
Right, right.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
And fiction is by author,
It is by author,
title,
and then title,
And
yes.
then ignoring small words like a and the and
If
whatever.
it's the beginning of the, if it's a Midnight Express,
Yes,
you put it by M. You ignore that A.
yes.
Or if it's the Midnight Express, you take the off. So it goes by the M. Okay?
Numbers that are just numbers.
Numbers. Yeah, we get this question a lot. And I guess
Patterson.
Ivanovich and Patterson are good ones to look at. If the number is spelled out, like in the case of Ivanovich, and she'll like tricky, well, that's not a good one, but she'll say like 42, but she spells it out. That would go under the F, okay, if it's spelled out. But if it says, 12 dancers leaping or whatever, and it's 1, 2, well, the numbers go in the front before the A's, okay? If it's not spelled out and it's just a number, it goes before the alphabet in the order of the numbers. I think we've got like Susan Mallory that does like 123 Mulberry Street or, 451 Sycamore Lane or, things like that. Put it in the order of the numbers. Okay?
And what about like a few small words, like a new house or something? You know how they have like and the beginning, or would it be B beginning because it's two small words? Like what are those called? Pronouns.
Use if it's an article, like a or the or
And then there were none. There's so many small words.
yeah. I typically just look at A and the, and anything else, that's the first word. So if it's like a new house, new is a little word, but it's an important word. It's not an article. So we would put it under, the N. Okay? Each of the sections, and we'll just use our books here. This is local authors, the orange label. We've got it along the back windows and down on the left-hand side a little bit. Okay. Fiction, of course, is this whole wall. Local interest is under the front windows in the bins. Biography is on the back side of this case, and it's the whole case. Classic, we changed classics just recently. It was crammed into that back case. Now we've extended it, 4 or 5 cases over, so we've got more room. So just look for that. It's over the top of the duplicate boxes. Large print is right here beside the Westerns. The first 2 cabinets. Westerns is the end cabinet on the right side. We did local authors, and nonfiction is along this wall, this back wall. We also moved the magazines to the coffee room. So if somebody asks you, they are in the coffee room now, okay? That was one of the sacrifices we had to make. We've got a lot of room, but for this many books, we were running out of room. The magazines, we keep those for 6 to 12 months, depending on what it is and how often it's issued. But for now, they're in the coffee room. Oh yes, we've got books on tape. We did have them on top of the bookcases under the windows over here, but the sun really just eats them up. So we moved them down below, and they're beside the classics, to the right of the classics. We did keep the travel magazines and some of the travel brochures. Cleaned them out a little bit, but there's people that use that, so that's from all over the world. And like we talked about, we keep the fiction pretty much for 10 years, unless it's a well-known author, and then we keep all of their works with a couple of exceptions. Western we keep for 10 years. Large print, we keep them forever. And biography, classics, nonfiction, local authors, and local interests are all forever. So, with a caveat, Clive Cussler, we culled down a little bit. He's such a prolific author, and we just didn't have the room. And, that brings up another point. We have a lot of people that come in and request like cookbooks or, different types of genres that we don't have here simply because we do not have the room. So we do have excellent resources in Tucson that we can lead people to. And the local library, and there's several around here, carry a lot of things that they're looking for. Also, there are a couple of apps that you can put on your phone. Libby is one, and they can download books for free. So, there are other resources, and we can lead folks to that. Let's talk about duplicates for a minute. This one was a duplicate that was on the shelf. So, let's say I'm shelving this. There's one already there. So, what do I do with it? First, you look at the condition of the two books, and the one that is in the best condition, leave it on the shelf. The other one, you put in the duplicate boxes that are along the under the windows over here by the author's last name, unless it's biography and it's about who it's about. But put it on the top of the box. Mike and his sweet wife go through here once a week, and they clean out those boxes. They go through and make sure before they put it in that box, is there another one in there that's like this? Is this actually a triplicate? And if it is, then we donate a triplicate. We keep duplicates in the boxes, but more than that, we just don't have the space for. So we donate those. We do keep a hardbound and a paperback. I don't see one right off, but
Jack Higgins.
okay, so we've got a hardbound and a paperback. And sometimes they get really cute and they'll do a hardbound big one and a hardbound little one and a paperback. And first, make sure that that big one's not a large print that hadn't been labeled properly. If it's two different sizes and they're both hardbound, put one in the duplicates. We're not going to keep all of them, but keep the best one on the shelf. Newspapers, we have someone that comes in every morning and puts the current newspaper on the table. They take the old newspaper and they put it in the blue bin. Residents can take anything they want out of the blue bin, but we ask them not to take anything that's on the table. Okay? Because we have so many people that come in just to read the newspaper every day or get the sales stuff. We have a wide variety of puzzles, and we have a lot of people that love puzzles and work on them all day and all night. We were keeping puzzles for 9 months. We had to make the decision to reduce that to 6 months. I hate to do that, but we've been so overrun with puzzles, we just don't have room for them. And that brings up another point too, because if say there's no books. The person in front of you shelved all of them and nothing else has been sorted. So what are you going to do? I have a good solution. You go through, you pick a section and you go through, you organize it, you straighten it. You go through and you make sure that everything that's in there is supposed to be in there, okay? But clean and straighten. As you know, we have, so many residents that are in various stages of mental capability, and they love to help us. And sometimes I have come in here and a whole shelf has been redone, but it's completely backwards. So, or a whole section's taken out and put over here. So it gets reorganized for us a lot of times. And it's this library is very fluid, and that's fine. But we need to stay on it and, continually look and see if everything's straightened and organized. And when you do that, say you take A through C, and for your day, you're gonna clean out and organize that section. We've got a page in that green notebook over there under the window. In the front, it says Library Notes. Go in there, go to the bottom after everybody else has written theirs, and write, your name, date, and what you did. Okay? If you're just reshelving, don't put that on there. We know that. But if it's something extra, like organizing and cleaning out a section, and you got A through C or A through D, write that on there. Okay? And we have had to use that, come back and say, oops, something happened, who did this and what happened, and get it straightened out. But it helps us, Mike comes in and he does A through D, and then I come in 2 hours later and I want to do some straightening. Well, I don't want to redo what he just did. So I'll start with E and go from there. So it helps us stay on the same page. Well, that's all I have. Like I said, it's taken 21 volunteers to keep this library going this season, and I appreciate each and every one of you.